Great. I think everyone can hear me. So yeah, good morning, everyone. This is my topic today. It's how will ICOs evolve, especially in 2026. More about myself. So I'm currently looking after investment research and BD at Nomad Capital and Biddlepad. Previously, I was in Binance for approximately 4 years across the institutional team, fiat team, NFT, Sifu. Currently, Biddlepad is a fully compliant ICO platform. And to date, we've done 5 token sales, as you can see. We've raised over $35 million with $450 million of commitments. And we have over 500,000 users already. Yeah. Before I start, I wanted to show you guys some prominent examples of some very important tokenomics. So yeah, this is one example. Not sure if anyone can guess which project this is. Okay, BNB. So they did a 50% ICO back in 2017, right? This is another example. Anyone? You guys should be able to guess this one. Okay, Ethereum, the reason why we're all here, right? 83% in ICO at that time, right? Here's a slightly trickier example. Polygon also 19%. And then Pump Fund, more recent. They've also done an ICO with 33% of total tokens to ICO, right? Now we move over to the current times. Sea of red, you know, just 100% red, yeah. Next one, also more red, unfortunately. So why is this happening? I think there's few primary reasons. One of the main reasons is airdrop farming is pretty high right now, and most of the metrics that you're seeing are pretty inflated. Secondly, most of the projects that are coming out right now don't have any PMF. The product market fit is pretty bad, and especially the go-to-market. And from a tokenomics point of view as well, a lot of tokens have an inflationary supply model. Tokens are increasing. The distribution and allocation is also not appropriate. It's sort of more tailored towards whales or a certain cohort of users. And it's pretty extractive behavior across the board. KOLs, market makers, agencies, combine them together, and in the end, your token dumps, basically. I just want to quickly go back to the ICO history, just so you guys are familiar about how ICOs work, and some more facts. So I think, broadly speaking, there were these 3 seasons. 2017 to 2018, we had like a resurgence of ICOs through BNB and Binance. Binance did a huge ICO sale, which did really well. Since 2018 onwards, SEC started to crack down on ICOs as being unregulated securities. ICO scams started to go up. You would just produce a white paper, raise some money, and make a token. And China also banned ICOs during this time, so the sentiment was pretty poor. 2020 to 2024, we saw IEOs, IDOs, airdrops, fair launches, so many different novel approaches to token launches. This was more of an innovative phase, I think, in our industry. We can all agree on that, right? Now, 2024 onwards, so like I would say year and a half, I think we saw a resurgence of ICOs again. I would describe this as ICO 2.0. It was an attempt by our industry to rediscover ICOs and go back to the old times, right? So how do ICO 2.0 differ with the standard ICO model, right? I think there's a few things. Firstly, this time around, especially on Biddlepad ourselves, there are a lot more flexible sales structures. So meaning rather than just offering one sort of tier of valuation, one sort of tier of allocation to the users, we were able to create some more novel sales structures when offering our ICOs. Whether that's different allocations based on how much you've contributed, TVL, or different tier sizes depending on the contributions you've made to the protocol over a period of time. ICOs are also increasing in the terms of percentage of supply allocated to them. This is converging more to an IPO standard. Traditionally, on the traditional markets, IPOs, usually it's a much more higher percentage of supply allocated. So I think that's where ICOs in the crypto industry are also heading. Approximately 10 to 20% supply of the token. It's also much more distributed this time. As I mentioned, Biddlepad right now has over 500,000 users. Most of our community is pretty retail orientated. The average size, if I'm correct, is like less than a couple $1,000 per user. in the final ICO value allocation they're getting. This is a stark contrast to like what we saw in 2017 or even the Ethereum times, where a few whales would sort of corner most of the supply. So with this, the standard, things have improved. And also, ICOs this time are a lot more user contribution driven. So we've tried to tie in things like TVL campaigns with ICOs. So meaning you as a user would have to contribute to the project before getting an allocation. Whether that's through contributing to the TVL, whether that's producing some sort of content. But ideally, we want users to have some skin in the game before they get an allocation. There shouldn't be a free lunch. This is some example of what we did at BiddlePad to tie the final ICO allocation with sort of TVL campaign. So this is something which we did. If you staked like your stablecoin or your token pre-ICO, you would get a higher allocation and contribution cap. The results were pretty good as well. We raised over $450 million across our TVL campaigns just through these two sales. That's pre-ICO. So again, we want to have users have skin in the game. We don't just want to give a free lunch out, right? Yeah, so far the investment returns have been pretty reasonable, I guess, and a lot of users have pledged a lot of money across our sales. We believe in quality over quantity. That's our motto. Now, why ICOs? Especially if you're a founder or a project, like what's the point of an ICO, right? Okay, I come from a VC background, but I think VC funding across the board is declining. It's really hard to raise right now in the current market. It's extremely difficult. So the best place is crowdfunding. And there's a lot of capital on the sidelines. So users still have money, especially the number of users we now have in our industry. Cumulatively, it's still a lot. And airdrops are ending. I might come across as a villain, but this is the truth. Airdrops are ending. They're not going to be seen in the next few years, in my honest opinion, unless you reach a perfect inflection point like Hyperliquid did. But generally, across the board, airdrops are ending. So you would need a new distribution mechanism, especially if you go to exchanges. You need to prove that your token is going to be distributed in an appropriate way. And the best way to do that is ICOs. And retail community alignment, so just going back to the second point, you want the retail users in your token. So to do that, you need ICOs. Airdrops were the previous example, but that was, again, free money. And that was not sustainable for the tokenomics. Again, I just want to hammer on this point. The reason why airdrops don't work is people don't value what they get for free. They don't have any skin in the game. You may say they've paid fees across the years, but eventually, in the end, the airdrop that they're getting is for free. They've not put in any skin in the game to get that. And most of the airdrop farmers, they pretty much sell immediately. And there's pretty poor retention of the airdrop recipients. We've modeled airdrops versus public sales internally. So we were able to come to a conclusion on the retention period of both user cohort groups. In Web 2, traditionally, loyalty points and vouchers are used for future real transactions, not to reward previous transactions. So this is what we should adopt in Web3 as well. Why is it a better distribution mechanism? Projects raise more capital. So as a project, this is your final time to raise capital before you TGE. This is your one more chance to get some more money, boost your treasury, and help get some more sustainable growth. And yeah, I think a small group of high quality supporters usually works out better than a large group of airdrop farmers to inflate metrics. This is some statistics across the board. So approximately 30% of the public sale participants don't sell their tokens at TGE. So it's a big misconception, you know, public sale users also sell. Traditionally, psychologically, I think that they don't sell immediately. There's still a period at which they hold. And this is a very big stark contrast to airdrop farmers. I think psychologically this is probably, most people don't because they hope it will rise. They're really in early. They think they're one of the insiders. That's how I would psychologically portray it, right? So if you have a project already, how do you position it for an ICO? Like what do you have to do to get ready, right? So these are the two most important questions which every project comes to us with. And it's also the questions in which we reject most of the projects after we hear their answers, unfortunately. So So the first question, how much should I raise, right? How much? This is a very generic question, so I would need to spend some more time with you to understand your project better. Traditionally, depends on market condition, the valuation that you've raised at your private round at, your existing investors, what they will be comfortable with, the tokenomics of your project. Those are the sort of key questions. Traditionally, I would say in this current market and going forward, anything above 10% is a good amount for an ICO, because anything above 10% makes your project community-centric. And again, as we converge more to the traditional industry, this is the best practice as exhibited by IPOs. 10 to 20% is a sweet spot, right? At what valuation should I raise? So this is 100% the question in which most projects get rejected, unfortunately, because they come with very high valuations, and we can't support that because our users will be at loss if we go ahead. So what valuation should I raise with, right? How do you think about this, right? So I think the best way to think about it is not to use your private round valuation. You should scale it down to the benchmark projects. This is very important. So if you have a specific like RWA project, right? Go onto Binance or go onto the top exchanges, look at any similar RWA projects and exactly model what valuation they raised at TGE, how did the valuation progress over a time period. You should benchmark rather than just look at your private round valuation, because your private round valuation was just deciphered from, it's just a random figure. But you should look at what's already happened. History often repeats itself. And sometimes people also come to us and say, oh, but our private round investors said we can't do an ICO, the valuation's too low, the tokens are unvested, right? You need to communicate to your private round investors and any other stakeholders, ICOs are a substitute to airdrops. If you communicate this, most people will agree to go ahead with the ICO. Because in an airdrop, you're just losing money, you're giving tokens for free, tokenomics aren't sustainable, people are dumping, basically. ICO, you have a final chance to raise money, your treasury gets benefited, and it's a more distributed user cohort as well. So this is an extremely important communication line you should take into consideration. And third thing, you need to work out the best exchange combinations. You don't need every exchange. That's definitely not needed, in this current market especially. Just being very honest with you guys. Just research the best combinations. Look for the regional top exchanges in each sort of regional group. Look at what's most affordable to you guys as well, and work out, again, from benchmark projects. If this project, like RWA project in my sort of field, chose these 3 exchanges, they did pretty good. Figure out the exchange combinations. Don't just blindly go to like 5 or 6 exchanges. Yeah, so these are the sort of few things you should think about. This is, as a founder, your mental model. So ICO evaluation effectively becomes your token floor price. Because if in the future you launch your token at an ICO valuation and the token price goes below this valuation, it's extremely troublesome. Your community will be really, really offended. You will have a lot of haters behind you. It will not be good. It will not be a good feeling. So as a founder and project, you should think, what valuation am I comfortable to raise at? What valuation do you think my project will be able to sustain over some period of time? What returns can my users make? So historically speaking, like 2025, BidOpad was an exception without being biased. Most of our users made 5 to 10x on their ICO sales. Those were pretty good times compared to right now. So right now, I would say anything from 1.5 to 2x of the initial capital is somewhat decent. It's decent conservative. You just need to make sure your token floor price, your ICO valuation is sort of your floor price. It doesn't go below that. If it does, you're going to have a lot of people really angry. And it's not good to cultivate a community that way. Again, existing projects you should benchmark with. This thing I keep repeating. Just keep focusing on the projects that have already launched. Look at their model. How did they launch? Everything about them. That's your benchmark, right? These are some examples of the projects we did on BidOpad. You can see how much they raised, valuations they raised. So again, last year was slightly better conditions than this, so we were able to support a lot higher valuations. This is an important statistic for you guys. So 2025, these are the number of launches that happen, most of the prominent launches. As you can see, only launching at an initial FDV between 25 to 200 million, that's the only percentage, that's the only cohort of tokens which had a green percentage over the next few weeks. Almost all of the other tokens launched at a higher FDV. Like if you launched above $1 billion, there's no chance you're in green, right? That's pretty obvious, but people don't understand it. So your best chance is that first bracket, 25 to 200 million starting valuation. That's not me talking, it's the numbers. And this is across the board, not just BuildlePad. So I would say even on the lower side of that, 25 to 200 million bracket. Yeah, you can, yeah. Yeah. So also, tokenomics 2.0. So tokenomics and ICOs are very interlinked because when you do an ICO, your tokenomics also have to be 100% in line with that, right? The low float, high FDV, that playbook is pretty much over now. Investors are smarter. It just doesn't work. So you need something new. You need a novel approach. These are the common issues that we see right now when we speak to projects. Again, airdrops, InfoFi, campaigns, more than 1% of your token supply. Usually that's just not sustainable for the tokenomics. If you will have some commitments, if you want to do something, keep it below 1%. High exchange budgets, again, research exchange combinations. You don't need every exchange. Focus on more on-chain launches. It's pretty good conditions usually to do that. Small LP on-chain, again, not tailoring your launch to an on-chain launch is a mistake. And this is extremely, extremely, extremely important. Too many stakeholders to please. So we speak to a lot of projects and they say, oh, we have this community, we have our NFT community, we have our partner token community, we need to give points to everyone, we need to give tokens to everyone, we need to give airdrops. If you have so many people you're trying to make happy, in the end, no one's gonna be happy. So just focus on one user group. Just focus on one user group. We need to make sure that these guys are happy, they're gonna be our supporters, small group of users. Don't try and please everyone. Usually in the long term, that doesn't work out. It's just too difficult. It's too difficult to manage expectations. Yeah. So again, don't carry legacy burden. You don't need to be so guilty of the choices you've made, of the commitments you've made to your community. Just make sure everyone's treated fairly, but incentives should reward future behavior, not the past. A perfect example is BNB. You do an ICO, you send to BNB around Binance Exchange and all of the BNB ecosystem projects, fee discounts, Launchpool, Launchpad, etc. BNB ecosystem, you should try and learn how did they start from 2017, how did they incorporate BNB within their offering of products. No X rewards to NFT orders, X rewards to partner communities, etc., etc. All right. Yeah, so it's at a pivotal point. We have to go back to fundamentals. Web2 companies are now pursuing a crypto route. That's what we're seeing. A lot of Web2 companies are coming to us and trying to get into crypto, whether that's traditional banks, neobanks, fintech companies. They want to get a piece of the crypto pie as well. Lots of users are still here. There's more competition for liquidity. Because stocks are now coming on chain, Hyperliquid's doing incredibly well. The competition for attention and liquidity is pretty high. So you need to make sure your token has some PMF and has a valuable use case. And ICOs are the best way to make a sustainable token launch to facilitate that. Yeah, this is more about myself, my Telegram, and my X, and my email. So if you guys ever want to speak about tokenomics or projects or anything, yeah, you can take a photo. I don't think that we have time for questions right now. So yeah, feel free to ping me like whenever. Yeah, thank you guys so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Wait. We can have like 2 minutes for questions.
Oh, okay. Any questions, please.
Yeah, I have a one before you. That,
sure.
With all the ecosystem going down and the traction is just right now really low, how you are managing to keep traction on ICOs?
So the honest answer is, as I showed you, we have only done 5 sales in 1.5 years. So our motto is very simple. If there's no opportunities, we won't pursue anything. We won't launch anything. We will just wait. So right now, the market is in a pretty tough condition. A lot of the projects that are coming to us still want to launch at a very high valuation. So we can't support that. So as an ICO sort of provider, infrastructure provider, we're simply just waiting for the right opportunity to come along. And I think it will come when more and more projects realize the need to scale their valuation down. We can't educate them, but they will themselves learn. Yeah.
Hi, thank you for your talk. What is the time frame between the successful ICO and the TGE moment? Does it have to be concomitant in terms of days or weeks, or can the team take longer, maybe months, 3 months, 6 months before releasing the token after the ICO?
So if you want to do a campaign, like a TVL campaign, intertwined with the ICO, like we did with Momentum Finance and Falcon, that was over a period of month. We were able to accumulate deposits over 1 month, get some traction pre-TGE. But if you want to do something standard, like 2 to 3 weeks, end to end, you can get a very good ICO, a very good TGE in place. But the main part is the due diligence and research process on BiddlePad side, which we take 1 or 2 weeks for to make sure our project is aligned with what we're looking for. Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
Excuse me.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, so what you're doing extremely well is curation.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what is the acceptance rate you have? So you launched 5. How many actually reached out to launch an ICO with you? So we are aware of...
That's a tough question. We've spoken to, across our team of 3 or 4 people, we've spoken to over 2,000 projects across our time frame. So our teammates, just some background, have worked in exchanges like Binance on the research and BD side, and other few exchanges, and traditional finance as well. So we've across our career spoken to a lot of projects. So I would say if you want to speak to us, please, we're very much happy to speak and also work out a plan to make things go forward. Yeah. Slightly diplomatic answer, but I really don't know the number. Yeah, thank you. Thank you guys, thank you.